school dropout, no college, single and pregnant at the age of 20, former house cleaner. So what could someone like me possibly have in common with other successful women? One word: fulfillment. Now, you may be sitting here today thinking to yourself, how could someone with my background possibly be living a life of fulfillment? In fact, you may even be sitting here today thinking to yourself that a life of fulfillment is just not possible for you. And I wouldn't be surprised. I surveyed over 200 women between the ages of 18 to 85 as it related to their thoughts and feelings on fulfillment. The results were fascinating, but the main thing that stood out to me was that 67% of the women that I surveyed said they were not living a life of fulfillment. Or, as I like to refer to it, they were living a life of fulfillment. So why is it that so many women fail at fulfillment? The results were what you would think as it related to the drivers behind what women equate to a life of fulfillment. Number 1, relationships with friends and family. Number 2, a spiritual presence in their life. And number 3, personal and professional achievement. Now, I would argue that as women, we are placing the value of where our fulfillment comes from on the wrong things. When I asked these women if they felt fulfilled today, the majority of them answered no. But when I asked if they thought that fulfillment was possible for them in the future, they all answered yes. But what if I told you that you could have fulfillment now? I'm here to share with you all today that regardless of your background, your education, your social status, how many followers you have on social media, your bank account balance, your past failures or experiences, that you too can live a life of fulfillment through one simple yet powerful formula. A formula for fulfillment that will turn that no into now. Are you ready?
Yes.
Who plus why plus how equals fulfillment. Step 1, the who. Hi, I'm Amy Druhot, and I'm a recovering title addict. It's true. When I was just 6 years old, I remember overhearing my mother say to someone that I was the perfect one. The perfect one. I know, you're probably not surprised. I was the one who made my bed every morning, and on chore days, I would vacuum the carpet with those perfect lines. We all know that wonderful feeling. And I wore the matching hair bows with the matching socks. I was pretty perfect. I was young, but I was not too young to understand what that title meant and the feeling that it gave me. The feeling of value and of worth and of validation. Now, fast forward to just 10 years later when I was in high school and a title took on a vastly different meaning. I remember shutting the bathroom stall door and seeing written very clearly on the back of it, Amy is a, yeah, just what you might be thinking. I was given a bad reputation, not because of my own actions, but because of thoughts and feelings and made-up stories from other people. But I'll never forget that feeling of walking down the hall and hearing the laughing and the whispers at my expense. Whether true or false, titles can mean so much and they weigh so heavy. If you're a woman in the room today, then you know what it feels like to be validated by a title. We fight for titles throughout our careers to validate our existence and our worth and our value within our organizations. When we become a mother, we somehow feel that there's some additional value that we now bring to this world. And we're part of this magical club that only mothers can possibly understand. We find joy and fulfillment within these titles. But the problem in both of these scenarios is that if we lose the job or when our children grow up and leave us, we are left feeling lost because we've spent our whole lives identifying who we are based off of what we are to other people. I did this throughout my entire career. My background actually drove me and motivated me towards a title-seeking mentality. I remember the first time that I received a management title. Man, that felt so good. That drove me to want the next one, director, and then the next one, vice president, and the next one. The list goes on and on. But the problem was, at the end of the day, after each of these titles were received, I would wake up the next day and I would feel no different. Why was that? Why was I not feeling fulfillment from those things? It was because I was basing who I was and the value that I brought to this world off of what I was to other people and not who I actually am. Amy Druhot, a believer and an encourager of all women, full of kindness and care and passion, making opportunities for others by helping them to see themselves the way that I so desperately struggled to see myself. So I ask, who are you? Can you clearly define who you are without a title given from someone else? Understanding who you are, titles omitted, is the first step towards feeling completely fulfilled. Step 2, the why. Understanding our why as women is one of the most important things that we can do. Just as important as understanding who you are, the why behind what you do and the impact that you want to make in this world is what makes you feel fulfilled. Now, while finding a cure for disease can make for a life-changing impact for so many, doing small things can be just as impactful within our communities. And sometimes the impact that you want to make can just be the impact that you want to make in your world, within your small bubble. But defining what that looks like is what gives fulfillment to your life. When you discover your why, you give yourself permission to say no when things do not align with your purpose. But also, you give yourself permission to go all in when something does, to live an uncompromising life based on the impact that you want to make. Now, don't get me wrong, stepping into your why and becoming aligned with your purpose is not always easy. Some in your circle may not be happy for you as they see you make this shift towards fulfillment. In psychology, this phenomenon is known as projection. Freud coined this term. The idea in this projection is that people will often reject in others what they do not like in themselves. But you cannot let those whose lives you were not meant to impact keep you from stepping into your purpose. Because those whose lives you are meant to impact are dependent upon your obedience to the purpose in your life. For me, I spent the majority of my life feeling less than. When I went back and looked at past stories and experiences, there was this constant narrative of feeling less than. When I recognized that, I made it my own personal mission to make others feel valid, to make others feel important, to make others feel seen and loved, because I did not want anyone else to ever feel the way that I had felt. That is why I use as many mediums as I possibly can to speak to women. That is my why. I build my why into all aspects of my life, my friends, my family, my work, and my travel. Even when I am exhausted from life's responsibilities, my why is the reason that I get up and do one more thing to impact the lives of other women. I encourage you to do the work to discover your why. What is your passion? And what is the impact that you want to make in this world? Or at least just in your world? And lastly, step 3, the how. If you understand who you are and the impact that you want to make in this world, it could feel exceedingly difficult to know what the next step may be. But it's a lot simpler than you may have guessed. Your how is brave. As women, we carry the courageous gene by nature. We must step out and grind and do things that make us feel uncomfortable all the time. Yet we forget to hone in on that skill or trait that all of us have inside of us. Now, being brave does not mean that you won't be afraid. It just means that in the moments when you are most terrified, you take a deep breath and say to yourself, I'm just going to brave it. That is the spirit of women. So understanding who you are, the impact that you want to make in this world, and how you do that is how you live a life of fulfillment. I'm standing here before you today fulfilled, completely fulfilled. And not because my life is perfect or because of any of the other factors mentioned earlier, such as fancy titles, social status, or how many social media followers I have. Not because of my past mistakes, my current successes, or even my future ones. Because those things do not make up my value or yours. But it is because I know who I am and the impact that I want to make in this world. And even when those old voices try to tell me that I am less than, I take a deep breath and say to myself, I'm just going to brave it anyways. Who plus why plus how equals fulfillment. And fulfillment for you starts now.